everybody, welcome back to the next video. Gonna get underway here. I'm not sure how I want to do this one, just to let you know right out of the gate. It's a lot of repetition. We talked about that, so if you want to see how machine gun fire works from the WNs, or not just machine gun fire, but WN fire, go ahead and go through that on the last video that, we do kind of a detailed rundown there. What I want to do is kind of blow through this, and I'm going to stop at a few key points. There's going to be the assault stage. We're going to get to do that this video. We did movement. We did firing of allied units. Maybe I'll do the naval stuff, show you how that works. Just briefly touch on it. I mean, it's pretty basic. But, I'm really curious, too, because the assault stage, I've read through it a few times and I think I'm doing it right, but it seems kind of weird, so I don't know if I am. So I'd love any feedback on that to see what people think, to make sure I'm doing that right. That's about it. So I think without further ado, we're going to get started. I got me a little polar seltzer here, calorie free, ruby red grapefruit, so it tastes a little bit like a Fresca. It actually does. I don't know, some of you have been asking. I have been losing some weight. I think I'm down about 70 pounds. So just been controlling portions and stuff. Want to be able to enjoy this hobby as long as I can. So I'm just working on trying to get in shape. So I got a trainer, and she kills me 3 times a week for about an hour, hour and a half sometimes. And it's going good. Anyway, so let's roll into this. So I'm going to more or less, it's going to be a click fest. I'm just going to kind of click on stuff, kind of narrate as it's going through, just so you can see how it progresses. This isn't really to cover how this works. Again, if you want to know how to do this part of the module, go watch the last video on the WN fire, the Allied fire, how we basically do the landing segment, and how we did these breaches here that we got. We got some breaches here. So, go learn how to do that. Now, like I said, I'm going to stop for the assault thing. Assault phase, I believe. I have that queued up here. Not going to do the German movement. We already did that. So that's about it. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and just click. I'm just going to kind of tell you what's going on. So this is where we, this is the second AM subphase. Remember, there's 3 subphases per turn. In this game, and this game has an AM turn, a PM turn, and a night turn on the 6th. Basically, there's going to be 3 of these phases for each of them, and then we go back to the main map and work on stuff after the 3 subphases. So all we're doing is, remember, we're grabbing the units up here. This is scrolling up top, and then we'll scroll back down, and then we're just populating the different subsectors that they are landing in. There's no drift after the first subphase. So you can just place them there. So that's what I'm doing, right? So we're just placing them on there. I'm not going to go over all the placement stuff. That'll take forever. I'll show you the UK beaches. I'll probably stay zoomed out for that then. So boom, 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 boom. There they all get lined up. So basically they're getting lined up to clear these obstacles, which, remember, these red numbers down here. So that's what we're getting ready to do. So let's go back to a Utah beach. And so beach obstacle clearance. Now, I thought it'd be fun. I know 99% of you, if not more, probably know all this stuff, but it's kind of fun to look at some of the stuff because I've been reading a lot of books on Omaha lately. I've read a couple, Ambrose's book. I'm working on a 3rd book on Omaha. I started playing the decision game Solitaire D-Day at Omaha Beach game, so I'm doing that on my table downstairs. But, I've never looked at these, and I was, I've probably heard it a gazillion times, but I was like, well, what are they talking about, these mines on the end of, logs and stuff? Well, so these things here, there's a mine right there, sitting on this post sticking up, and then so when the tide rises up and it gets up to here or even a little above it, and then the LC comes zooming in here and hits that, kablooey. And I thought that was interesting. So there's another one. It's not overly complicated. Here's what they call, I think it's a Belgian Gate. That would just, hook up a landing craft so it's hooked up on this thing and it gets stuck on it, and then they, you know, be able to zero in on it and blow the snot out of it. Also, perspective is also very interesting. You look at like this picture right here and you're like, oh yeah, there's little sticks sticking up all over on the beach. But then you go to a picture like this and you're like, oh, those are pretty big. So, and my understanding is some of these, like these, face out towards the water. So the water is the the ocean or the channel is out here to the left, right over in this area. Omaha Beach would be up here, and the boats would come in and they would ride up on these things, and they had different mines. I don't really see them on here. I've seen some illustrations of it, if those are accurate. Sadly enough, I saw an illustration where they have these backwards. It's like, you might want to fact check that before you tell everyone these were facing the other way. Um, but my understanding is they would put mines on this ramp so at different levels they could bump into the mine. And in the books I was reading, that happened a lot. It happened sometimes where guys would be taking shelter by some obstacles like this or like that post we looked at, and a bullet would hit it and it would just vaporize them. They'd see their buddy there and all of a sudden, boom, vaporize. So I thought that was pretty horrifying. There's a close up of that Belgian Gate. I got one other picture. Oh, I thought this was interesting. Look at how buried these tanks are. I mean, the sand just keeps washing around it and stuff. This says it's Omaha Beach on the afternoon of the D-Day. And then I thought this one was interesting. I wanted to share this one with you real quick. So most of the pictures you see are like this, right? Where you got all the sand showing, but this is the result of the tide rolling in. I don't know where this is at, if this is Omaha or not. It's just part of the Atlantic Wall. This doesn't look like anything with Omaha. I don't think that's Point du Hoc. I don't know. So it doesn't say on here, but look at how the tide starts coming up and how these things start just kind of disappear. So as that gets more and more, I mean, the landing craft would come flying in and hit that thing that's maybe only an inch or two under the water and get stuck on it, and then they just light it up with stuff that they have ranged in. So anyway, I thought it would be kind of fun just to quickly go through. That's what these red numbers represent. And again, I'm sure a lot of you watching probably know way more on World War II or Omaha Beach than I do. But I just thought I'd share that little bit of history with you. It's fun to look at what you're really dealing with, right? And I've seen some fun stuff being posted lately that people are doing, and I think G.O.S. is an experience. It's not just a game. It is a game. I'm not trying to make it into something bigger than it's not, but it's really an experience where you can kind of have your own little narrative and story about what's going on D-Day and overall the invasion and Normandy and stuff like that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get rolling. So nothing on Utah to do. We're good there. It's medium tide now, so the tide changes every turn. Remember that. So it was low, it goes to medium, then high to medium, then to low. So it's going to keep going back and forth on the British beaches and the U.S. beaches. Okay, so now all units will check for obstacles, and you apply a +1 DRM. I'm not going to go through all these. I'm just going to do them quick, okay? Because otherwise we're going to be here. That last video was about as short as I think I could do. I might have rambled a few times, but I think it was pretty brief on some stuff. So we're just going to. Oh, and the beaches on the UK, they'll be high tide. And so all units check for obstacle clearance with no modifiers, because basically they're all hidden now. They don't know where they are, or most of them are. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. So this will be my little laser pointer, so to speak, this blue spade, and it'll move down the list. I'm not gonna go over every result. I'm not even gonna be reading that. But as you can see, there a unit took a hit. There we got some units pinned. Some more units pinned. Another unit pinned. So that means they're not going to be able to help us at all. Firing, pinned. And looks like a couple Rangers got pinned. Okay. So that's the Utah didn't have any. I'm going to zoom in. I'm assuming you guys wouldn't want to watch this far out. This is the whole, basically all three beaches zoomed out, so I can get kind of, I usually do that when I'm pulling stuff down from up here, right? So let's go ahead and zoom in, and we'll have our little pointer again. I'll try to get us in the general vicinity, but now you can see the numbers are a lot better on the UK beaches. There's not, I don't see a lot of 5s, 6s, 4s, a lot of 1s and 3s and 2s. So let's go ahead and see how that goes for the UK. So here we are with our little pointer, and we got some pin. Those are nothing happening. Another pin. Nothing happening. Little pin action. Oh, we took a step loss there and a pin. Couple pins. Another couple pins. Pins. So lots of pinning, but only one step loss, I think. Doesn't matter. It's kind of irrelevant. I'm not going to. So then we move them all up. I didn't show you that on the U.S. beaches, but if you look over at the U.S. beaches, after you do the beach obstacle clearance, now you move into the beach box, right? So Utah moved up here. Oh, slight note. This is why we do these videos, right? We want to learn together. This was low tide last turn. So basically the Americans would not have moved up for free. They would have had to have moved up on their own. It affects it slightly, but it's not really going to mess with stuff too much because they would have been able to move up and then do their stuff. We probably took a few shots that we wouldn't have been able to take at units. We still would have been able to do our breaches and all that, but rules wise, it shouldn't have affected too much. So remember, on low tide, the units stay out in the beach box and they have to walk themselves in. So that's the only difference, is that's an extra movement point for us to move up here. And since we aren't basically getting anywhere because we have to stop here at the seawall, again, it doesn't affect it too much, but that's the rule, so we want to play it accordingly. So I'm pretty sure I forgot to do that on any low tide that I did, but oh well. It's not like taking Omaha isn't going to cost me, because it's been brutal. Okay, so let's go back to the UK beaches. What was that? Oh, so now we're just moving them all up. So you just slide them all up into their spot. And that's the nice thing with G.O.S., or Vassals, you can grab everything and move it up in one shot. Okay, so German fire segment. Now I'm not going to get into this, but this is where you can see now there's multiple rows. Okay, so if you go back and watch the last video, we cover that. There's some great videos out there to watch on that. Monster on My Table has a way better video than mine as far as high quality. I like to watch it and refresh myself so I know I'm doing it right. But remember, when there's units directly in front of the WN, they can fire here, and then they can fire past it, but it's only at ×1. And then they can only fire on the flanks to here and to here. They can't fire out into this next one. So when he fires, okay, we would start here, right? So you go left to right in the back row, left to right in the front row. And a lot of times I'll do the same beach. Like I won't do the whole back row on these and then do the whole front row. I'll do these two, then I do these three. And just to show you how that works, you'd look at this one, nobody can fire at him because we killed this guy off last time. You look at this one, nobody can fire at him because WN7 has troops that are directly in front of it. So that's taking their attention away. So they're going to fire a little bit over here and a lot more over here and not over here because they're busy. Then we go back over here. This guy here, nobody to shoot at him. This guy here, remember we said he can give him a little attention. So, fires a few spurts over at this guy, and then he'll concentrate a little bit more here. So here he'll be ×1, here he'll be ×2. It's not going to be very devastating on Utah, but the same thing here, okay? So when we start here, we see who can fire them, okay? So all of this row, remember, can never fire. These guys, see how they funnel into that one? There's that dividing line there, but they kind of funnel down into this one. So this WN60, WN61 South, WN61 and North, those would all fire into this square. These guys would be ×2. He would be ×2 because there's nobody here. And then this guy is ×1 because there's a guy here. So he only fires ×1 there. So that would give us 1, 2, 3, so 6, 7. So we'd max out at 7 firing into this hex, right? Then we move to this one, same thing. then we do all these, then we jump over here, and we start seeing who can fire into this one. So these guys fire, excuse me, a little scratch in my ear there. These guys fire at each available box, and we covered that in the last video, so go watch it in that. But just to show you now that there's 2 rows of troops, kind of how that works. I'm not going to go through all of these separate firing actions, because the last video I tried to blow through those and it took, what, an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes? Okay, so what I'm going to do is just get the little pointer out, and I'm just going to let you kind of see what the results were, okay? I quit doing that eventually too, so I'm just going to put the stuff so we don't have to worry about it. So there he pinned some guys. There's some step losses. Okay, now we're going to go over here. So we're on Omaha. I'm just going to kind of blow through this. I do have to move the step losses up there. So as I'm losing invasion units, they go on these guys. These guys they all start out at 3 steps, but now they're starting to take step losses. And if you remember, if you go back to the last video, I labeled all of my guys based on what they were up here so that I apply it to the actual battalion and regiment instead of the way they say in the rules, which is to kind of even it out. Nothing wrong with that. When you're playing with a bunch of generic counters, it would be a nightmare to keep track of all those, but we got the ability to do the detail on here, and I want to do it just for fun. It's not a requirement of the game. It's just something I thought I'd nerd out on. So, okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. We see steps and pins happening there. Whenever these guys flip over to the yellow side, that means they've lost a step at least. So like some of the tanks, I think over here they would have to lose 2 steps and flip over to their other side. So basically they're at half strength. Okay, so we did the back row. And we jump up here on the left side, we go across and do the front row. And you just go all down the line. So we're getting all kinds of guys pinned, shot up. And all I'm doing here when you see all this moving and stuff is I'm organizing my guys so I have everyone under the pin counter that's supposed to be. And then I like to organize my stacks so I can look at it and kind of see what's there as quickly as possible, right? So might be OCD, I don't know, but I like to have my infantry and my engineers separate and my tanks, and then if I have a gun, I like to have them all separate if possible. Not always possible. Okay, so just going to go down the line. You can see guys flipping over. Those guys all got pinned. It's just not very good on Omaha Beach. Lots of pinning. You can see, remember the pin guys don't get to really do anything. So that's kind of a bummer. Okay, so Omaha is done. Let's go over and look at the UK beaches. So we'll zip on over here to the left. Again, this isn't for trying to teach you and show you everything. It's just we want to show you the progression. Okay, so now we're up on the front row. You can notice there's a lot less pinning going on and a lot less casualties being inflicted. Whenever I just jump and I don't do anything, it means nothing happened to anybody in that hex. So usually you're going to get somebody pinned or a step loss. It's pretty rare not to have anything, but there's a lot less of that going on in the UK beaches. And the big factor is once these guys up here moved up last turn and they get in these guys' grill, these guys' face, this is all ×1 out here, and they can't fire into their adjacent subsectors out to. So again, we talked about this, I think, in the last video. This module, the Amphibious Module, does a great job of the mantra in all the books I've read about get off the beach. You got to get off the beach. I can't remember his name. I got a friend of mine. I know he'll send me a text correcting me, Doug. But one of the officers on the beach, he apparently came up with this phrase a few weeks or a couple months in advance. He was kind of waiting to use it. And he said, there's only 2 kinds of men that are on this beach, those that are dead and those that are going to die. So it's, you know, it might feel safe hiding and behind the seawall, and maybe you're not getting slaughtered as bad as you were out on the beach, but you got to get off the beach completely. Okay, so German heavy anti-tank fire. There'll be a little bit, I think, on Omaha. I guess I kind of skipped it. Nothing happened on it. A little bit over on the UK beaches. So that's when these anti-tank units fire. I don't want to spend a lot of time on those. Now we're at the Allied fire segment. Now remember, this is where tanks, artillery that isn't pinned, tanks that aren't pinned can start firing at these. We can also start firing the naval gunfire. Okay? So kind of here's how this works. So this is one of my favorite parts of the game because this is where we're like, man, we need some payback. We're getting slaughtered. So in all naval gunfire, in all subsequent subphases, the Allied player rolls 1d10 for each beach. Compare the result to the NG value on the display. Okay, so here's your NG value. In the AM, it's a 045. Nobody gets any in the first AM subphase, so that's why it's a 0. This one's a 4. Now, how does that work? Okay, so I rolled a 7. If the DR, that's the die roll, is greater than or equal to the NG value, the NG value is the number of naval gunfire attacks the Allied player may conduct on that beach during the Allied fire segment. So it's an NG value of 4. I rolled a 7, so I get 4 naval gunfire, which is great. 4 is a nice number on, that's the max I could get this round on Utah. If the DR is less than the NG value, the DR is the number of naval gunfire attacks the Allied player may conduct on the beach area during the segment. So if I would have rolled a 3, then I get 3. But there's a little caveat to that. If the DR is less than 1/2 the NG value, the Allied player may still conduct a number of naval gunfire attacks equal to 1/2. So the bottom line is, if I rolled a 1 or a 0, I'm still going to get half, which is 2. So that's the minimum I'd get on Utah, but I could get lucky and get up to 4, which I did. I got 4, so we're happy about that. We got 4. A naval gunfire may be directed against any German unit located in a coastal defense box row or below. Naval gunfire may be directed against boxes occupied. Looks like I copy-pasted that. Funny. Naval gunfire may only be directed against German units in the beach exit row box. Oh, if an unpinned Allied unit is present. So I can't fire back on here, okay, unless I got a guy in there, because remember, these represent a little bit bigger area. And so I'd have to have a guy spotting to say, hey, we need you to, blast away over here at these guys. So, but I can fire in these, any of these ones right here after the seawall and the coastal defense, the pavilion boxes, those are fair game. Okay, results are, if you fire against a WN or armor unit, you need a die roll of 0 to 2 will inflict a step loss. If you fire at personnel, like these infantry here, excuse me, against personnel or a weapon unit, so these anti-tank, I don't know why they put armor. I suppose you could, theoretically, could you get armor up there in time? That would have to be pretty crazy. I don't even know if you can do that. But anyway, so against personnel or weapon units, a die roll of 0 to 2 inflicts a 2-step loss. A die roll of 3 to 5 inflicts 1-step loss. So we can knock these anti-tank guns and these infantry out better than we can these, but I'm going to be firing at the WNs. I don't know why you'd waste your time firing at an anti-tank gun that only gets to fire at one tank, or this infantry, which really only gets to fight with whoever comes in his square. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. I totally wouldn't argue with you there, but I'll be blasting away at these WNs. Okay, so we get to pick our targets. You don't have to have targets adjacent. Remember, it's only if they're in these beach exit boxes. So we can fire away at these guys all we want. So the first guy, what do we need? We need a 0 to 2. So miss, 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 hit. So boom, we knocked him out. So just to show you what that looks like, that's pretty nice. Utah's looking pretty friendly. We still got to go get this guy so that the beach is completely open. But these guys technically can start heading this way to exit off, and I'll explain how that works. They can't drive right off. You have to get here and stop, and then you reorganize at the beginning of the movement phase in these boxes. The only exception to that is as soon as this guy is gone, and there are none of these. Now, I don't know if you have to include these since these were never landings, but I do. Once all of these beach obstacles are gone and all the WNs are gone, the beach is open, and any unit in any box that's still on here can reorganize and exit off. So that's kind of nice. Okay, let's go look at Utah, or Omaha. So let me clear these away here. So this is a little harder to see. It's a tiny little one down here, but I'll just tell you what it is. In the AM, it's the same as Utah. It's a 0 on the first one, so you don't use it. It's a 4 on the second one. Oop, let me do this and unhide those guys. Okay, so what did Omaha get? Let's take a look. A 2. Now, if you remember, okay, so this is Omaha. Not a lot of luck. It would have been nice to get 4 on Omaha, but remember, if you roll below the NG value of 4, then you minus that from it, and that's how many you get, and you get at least half. So 4 minus 2 is 2. That's the minimum that I'd get on Omaha, and of course, that's what we get on Omaha is the minimum. So I'm going to go after this guy first. I've never sat down and mathematized, if that's even a word, I'm going to say that is, all these options and who you should take out first. Should you take out single guys or knock down these big guys? No idea. I just go with my gut. If you want to math it out, knock yourself out. I kind of do it quick and dirty because I feel like on the beach they'd be doing it quick and dirty. Get rid of that. Anyway, so we get a 1, so boom, that's huge. And we're going to go after this one here. So this one has 2 steps. I only have 1 shot left, but I'd like to knock this one down to a 1 if I can. And nope, I changed my mind. I get a 7, so that didn't do anything. So now let's go over to the UK beaches. And their numbers are going to be 3 for gold. You got to clear these guys out to look sometimes. It's going to be 4 for Juno and 3 for sword. Okay, so let's see what we get. We rolled a 3. Oh, I think if you roll the number or higher, you get it, is what I said. So hope I did that right. I gave myself 3. That's a miss, a hit, and a miss. So you can see this guy flipped over. There's that little orangish band we talked about that goes on our guys taking hits. Same thing with the Germans. He's been weakened, so he's down to 1. So that'll help a little bit. I mean, that's not going to change anyone's life, but we'll take it. Here we already got that hole as we're starting to run up the gut. So let's see what we can do over here. So here we roll a 7, so we get all 4. So where do we want to shoot first? Where do I shoot first? Well, again, I'm going to go after WNs. That's a double. So miss, or no, is that a hit? Oh, it's a hit. Yeah, 3. Did I do that right? I might have given myself a hit that I shouldn't have given myself. What did I say it was? Let's go look at the rules. And I want to if I'm supposed to be giving you input on teaching it, I better make sure I'm doing it right. And I wasn't planning on looking that up. So let's see. Naval gunfire, here it is. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, I think I gave myself a bonus one there. You got to hit on a 0 to 2. So we got away with one. We're cheating. We're cheating on ourselves. Okay. Over here, we roll. We got a 0, which means we're going to get half of them. So we get 1. We fire there and we miss. All right, that's it. Now we go back to unit fire. Again, I'm not going to do all the unit fire. Over here, we don't have any unit fire because you can only fire 1 space with a tank, and they're all over here. And I'm not going to go through all the unit fires over here. I don't have very many over here, just some armor still. A little bit of artillery that's starting to come up, some of the self-propelled artillery. These guys cannot. So I'm just going to click our way through it. Not going to spend a lot of time. Remember, when they fire, they get pinned. It means they can't move. You're basically using the turn to fire them. So that if you use those tanks to fire, they can't start moving around the beach after the fact, right? So, all right. So let's go over to the UK beaches. Again, this is more just to kind of show you the progress of the turn. If you want the details, go to the previous video. But here we go. We're shooting them up. Looks like we're doing pretty good over here, clearing stuff out on the UK beaches, though. Nope. Knocked out another WN. Zip over here a little bit. So we're using these self-propelled guns, which can fire too. Boy, it'd be nice to knock that guy out, and we did. WN-31 has now been knocked out. WN-29 takes a hit, so because we got all these armor steps, and all the steps is what fires. So yeah, they're just cleaned out another one. WN-30, I think it is right there, just got knocked out. British did it well on the beaches compared to the U.S. We made some really blunders. I don't know if we were arrogant or foolish or stupid or what, but all right. So I'm going to take a sip here. We got one more beach. Oh, we knocked out WN-20. The beaches for the UK I thought went really well for me. There he took a step loss, and that I think is it. Okay, so Allied movement. Commando Ranger units may exit the display at any time during the Allied movement. So there's an exception. Normally you have to go up here and stop and then wait, and you can organize. So you turn these steps into these units here, right? But there is an exception where these are commandos for the British. They're considered rangers for the Americans. So commando and ranger units, if they get to this box and still have movement points, they can exit off. So it's not going to give you a ton of stuff on the map, but it's kind of exciting to start getting stuff on the map. I mean, so let's go. I don't think. Let's go look. I always do the U.S. beaches first, kind of because look kind of left to right. I know I'm a little partial to the U.S. beaches. So here we're moving now. Remember, and if you movement rules, we cover all that in the last video. So they're just going to go over and get into these beach exit boxes. We got some armor moving over there to try to help blasting out that W. We want to open up this beach completely, right? So everyone's moving, doing their thing. Okay, so that's going to be fun because that means on the right here, they're done moving. So that means on the third AM subphase, I'm going to start consolidating these invasion module steps, I think they're called, back into these battalions and armor and engineers and stuff like that. Okay. I think there's restrictions on the engineers. I can't remember specifically off the top of my head, but I believe any of the Army or Corps assets stay on this map for a little bit, clearing stuff. But the tanks and infantry can sure move out, and we'll double check that. I'm getting a little cart before the horse. So now we're going to be doing breach attempts. This is all movement, okay? So I'm just going to blow through it. You'll see on Omaha as they're trying to get up onto the pavilion there's some dudes sneaking up there over in dog red and dog white. So the 29th ID is pushing in a little bit. The big red one having a little more trouble. Let's go to the UK beaches. That's pretty much the end of that. So now we're moving here. So same thing. Remember these breaches, you need 2 breaches to move armor. 1 breach with the little hollow arrow will move infantry only. So they can make some nice moves. So technically the first I think it's the Dorchester, so they already have, basically this represents 1 step on the main map. These guys, when they move in here, they're getting ready to do the assault phase with these. We're going to try to knock these guys out by assaulting. So I kind of took a mentality of everyone move forward. If we can help a little bit, great, but I want to get guys streaming off onto the map. That's what I decided to do. Maybe it's a better job to clear out everything. I don't know. But that's what I do. So you decide what you're going to do. You're the commander for you. Okay, so when you see all this extra movement, I'm just trying to make room, because I'm moving allies in there, and I like to have stuff spread out versus just stacked up. Okay, German movement. So let's go over here. There's no Germans on the Utah beach, but over here, these dudes have to make a roll. So activate on a 0, we get a 1 and a 4, nope. and an 8. So nothing there. Well, that's a good thing because Utah or Omaha doesn't need any more help, that's for sure. Over here, they don't have to activate, but there's rules for how you move. So this guy will move toward the closest WN, and they stay with that WN, right? So it's there's not a lot of options, and that's fine, you know. Okay, assault combat. So let's see if we can run through this a little bit. This is one I wouldn't mind getting some help on to make sure I'm doing it right. I guess I've never done the assault thing with anybody else as another player, so I've never had other input. But we're going to do this one right here. So we got basically 10 steps of tanks and a WN8, and that might look great, but they're great at shooting it up, not so great at assaulting it. So this I'm not going to do this one as an example because I should go through how it works. Okay. So, assault combat. If the only units able to conduct an assault are armor units, only one of those armor units may participate in the assault. Additional armor units are affected by the result. So, the top unit is who I decided will do the assault because he has 4 steps. So, you choose a lead unit, top unit, determine its printed assault value. This number will be used to determine the total assault value. And if you go over here, the assault value is the first number. Remember, the fire value is that middle one. So when they're firing, we needed a 0. But he assaults as a 1. Okay? So we got a 1. If the lead unit has assault dots, he has an assault dot here. That's that little dot on the left-hand side. Multiply the number of assault dots by the number of steps remaining and add that to the result. So we have 4 steps. This one might zoom in for this one here. So we have 4 steps, 1 assault dot, so 1 times 4 is 4, and we add that to the 1. So that makes us a 5. So now we're a 5. Okay? WNs. WNs get 3 strength points for the first step and 2 for each additional step. Okay? So it just so happens that they have a assault value of 5. Then you're going to roll a 1d10. You double that die roll if an armor unit is the only unit conducting the assault, which is not good. You don't want to double it. You want to roll low on this. And I'll show you why in a second. We rolled a 3 for the tank. That's going to double to 6. If the modified die roll is equal to or greater than the total assault value, there is no result. So we want to roll low. The Germans, they roll a 7, so they were greater too, so there's no effect. Basically, this guy here, this tank was a 5, right? So for him to inflict a step loss, I would have had to have rolled a 0, a 1, or a 2. Because you minus that number from whatever you had. So let's say I'm a 5, and let's say I rolled a 3, or I mean a 2. That leaves 3. You divide any remaining points by 3, round down, and that's how many hits you inflict. So you have to have at least a dice difference of 3 versus your strength to score 1 hit. Okay? That's how I understand it. Now, if I'm doing that wrong, somebody let me know. So this guy, the most he could do at a 5 is 1 hit. The point being is we're going to have to get more guys over to help. But for now, and again, later on this game, I have guys on Omaha that are piling in on a WN with 1 or 2 dots, and there's no way they're going to hurt it. But now he has to just fire at them because he's busy. So that's good. You want to do that because as soon as you start jumping on these dudes in Omaha, they can't fire down. Oops. That'll move back on its own. They can't fire down range here at these guys coming in on the beach boxes because they're busy fighting in the pavilion box or up here on the coastal defense. So very important to do that. Okay, so tanks, not the greatest thing to do. Okay, Omaha, you can see where this is a problem. We don't have anybody in there yet. Now next turn we could jump over this way on this guy, And there is some rules for climbing bluffs, and these black ones here you can't climb, and those are cliffs. I think rangers can climb that, but again, I still look up stuff. I don't have everything memorized, so go with that. But okay, so let's look at the UK beach. I don't know if there was any on. So over here we got Commando. So let's walk through with this infantry. I think they're all no effects on this first round, but let's go ahead and walk through this one because it's a little different with infantry. So let me zoom in here. Okay, so here's where we are right here. So we got a Commando unit, and we got 2 infantry units attacking this WN with this infantry support. Okay, and that's my crazy cat yowling in the background again. The older cats do that apparently. She never did that. She was quiet as a mouse for, I don't know, 15 years, and now she just does this. I don't know what to do about it. We make sure she's got food. The cat litter's changed. We pet her. You can pet her. She'll walk away, and 2 minutes later doing it again. So anyway, just letting you know what that is because it happens on some of the videos, and I'm not going to stop every time she does it, or I'd be editing 3-4 times. Anyway, back to what we're doing. Okay, so the Commando will lead. So he's a 1. So you use this number here. And then he has an assault dot and 2 steps. So that's 1 times 2. Add that to the 1. So he's a 3. Okay. And then 1 for each infantry that has a triangle. So we have these triangles. That's why I'm leading with him with the assault dot and supporting with the triangles. So that's 3, 4, 5. The Germans will get a 4. They get 1 step here, so he's worth a 3. If you have more steps, each additional step is 2. And then this guy is a 1. So we got 3 plus 1 is a 4. So I roll a 5 for the allies, because remember, I always roll the attacker first if I don't declare it, so that it's consistent. So 5 from 5 is 0, so no step losses. And 3, okay, they had a 4, so 4 minus 3 is a 1, but you divide that by 3 and round it down. So it'd be 1/3, 0.33, goes down to 0. Okay, so it's a little harder to assault. This one, so this is going to be let's see let's walk through that one. Okay, I usually have to walk through this a little slower because you don't do assaults too much compared to some of the other stuff. Okay, leading with the top unit, so it's a 1 plus 1 for the triangle and 1 for support, so it's a 3. So what am I going to need? I need a 0 to score a hit on that. Anti-tank, it's a 1. I don't even think they can hurt me. I get an 8 for the allies, a 9 for them, and again, I don't even think. That's why I'm curious. Wrong minus sign. That's why I'm curious if I'm doing that right. But I've walked through it, reading it several times, so I'd love any input on that. Okay, so we go over here. See if we had anything different. Nope, so that was a 4. We rolled a 4. Germans are a 7. Okay, so now the Germans, so they had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they have a total of 7. We rolled a 2. That leaves 5. 5 divided by 3 is 1.66, I think. Rounded down, so, yep, 1.6666 repeating to 7. So 1 hit, and it goes on the Ranger. Or Commandos, sorry for the British. Okay, so there you see how it takes a hit. There we are a 3, we tied it. There we are a 5 and tied it. So not a lot going on. But these are the first units getting up there, and they're fighting and getting shot up and throwing nades and whatever, flame throwing, all that good gravy. So that's kind of how it went. Okay, demolition segment. We covered that before. I'm not going to cover that again in detail, but we'll show you as we go through it here. Oh, what am I doing here? Oh, I forgot the engineers on Omaha. Okay, so Omaha, the engineers, after they move. Engineers move, and then after they're done moving, at the end of that, during the obstacle clearance, they get to do breaches. So we're going to see what we breach on here, and I'm not going to go through all those I did on the other video. Oh, look at that. We can get armor through. So armor can go to here, but the only way the armor gets off this pavilion row is you got to open up these draws. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you understand that. So this little line here, you have to breach that line before they can head up this draw. if you're going to come in off of this sector right here, you got to breach this one to come in off that. That's how I do it. I think you have to breach on each one. I don't think it's a single breach, okay? That's how I play it. If I'm doing that wrong, pipe in. Again, we do this to learn, correct? So that's, anyway. Let's finish up the engineers. Okay, so we got some nice breaches now. If you remember, go back to the last video, we're going to just try to clear out as many of these as we can. And the more WNs that can fire on these, the harder it is to clear it out. It's simply a die roll. This represents teams that are not on the map. They're not a counter. You can use engineers to help with this, but my engineers are typically pretty busy trying to breach and get armor off the beach and get infantry up off the beach as well. All right, so we go through there. Looks like we cleared out one. There we cleared out one. The whole thing. Not going great on Omaha. We got one we got one there. And we got two there. So yeah, rocking it on Omaha. Omaha is not very friendly for quite a while. All right, so here we clear that one. Cleared all those. Cleared one. Cleared one. Cleared that out. Cleared both. Two. Cleared all. Couple more and cleared all. So that was pretty good. We'll take it. What am I doing? Must be doing something and I'm not. Oh, now I'm moving my guys up. So these guys move up. I'm do some organizing. I like to put all my pin guys together. Remember, when you're pinned and you move up during the medium or high tide, you stay pinned, right? Remember what I said earlier? I shouldn't have moved up during the low tide. They would have had to have moved up. Not going to affect a huge deal, but it's just the way it is. So let's go look at this one here. I think we're about done. Organize all these stacks, get the pin guys up there. I can start unpinning next turn. And then we'll kind of just go over each beach, take a look when we're done and see what progress we made. That's kind of the whole point of this video, is to show the assault stuff a little bit. So let's take a look. Since we're on the UK beaches, let's do that real quick and then we'll wrap up. So if you take this off, you can see we've knocked out, there was 4 WNs up here and 1 back here to start with. We got some infantry units on there. We're down to this WN over here, so we've knocked out 3 of them. These guys are a little bit of a stronghold. This red line simply means you cannot cross from the WN35 up into this. You got to go around it. And this is a little bit stronger over here, so we're going to have to deal with that. But technically, this guy could organize. So he's the 1st Dorchester 231, I think it is. So this is his battalion right here. So if he were to decide to turn into that battalion and go off the map, I would simply flip him over and put a step loss, and he would enter on with 1 step. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do that. That's not a great plan to bring him out, so that you don't want battalions to be removed from the map. So, and I guess I probably wouldn't have to consider it being removed because there's still steps here, but when you have to rebuild a battalion, it costs extra. Same with over on this beach here on Juno. We had 4 in the front row, 1 in the back. We got only 1 left in the front row. We got this anti-tank gun hanging on and the 1 in the back. So we're making some really good progress running up the gut here. So we should see next turn they start to be able to exit. They won't exit off next turn unless they're a commando and I decide to do that. And then we look at Sword. Sword's a little crowded, but we're pushing things around. We got the 2 flanks to deal with, but it doesn't look too bad. Now let's go take a look at the other beaches. Utah, that's a no-brainer. We got 1 guy left. Life is good if you're landing on Utah Beach. Some sniper fire is probably about it historically that they were dealing with there at that point. Omaha. We did knock out a WN here from some artillery fire. The guns, the destroyers that rolled up and helped us. We're taking a pounding. We got a breach here, so we can get a vehicle, tank up here. We got a breach here, so we can bring a tank up. These will allow infantry to go up over onto the pavilion, but that's it. We got a lot of work to do. We got 1 more AM subphase and then we got a lot of work to do. So the Brits should be starting to get off the beach in the afternoon. Utah is going to start getting off the beach next turn, so during the end of the PM turn on the main map. And I could show you that, but I think we'll skip that for now because we'll show you how they go out on the map when it's their turn, but they're going to start coming out, so that gets really exciting. I dig that. So that's it. So thanks for watching. If you see anything I did wrong, I'd love some input on that assault phase thing. That's how I read it. That's how I've been doing it for what it's worth. But if you see something I'm doing wrong there, let me know. Hope you had a good time, and I'll try to get the next subphase out. I'm trying to get a little caught up because I'm actually done with the June 6th turn pretty much. I got to do the German night movement, which is basically going to be shuffling around a few guys, not very many, because you got half movement and fatigue issues if you get too crazy. But maybe you don't get fatigue in this one, but we're not doing any night battles. And but yeah, so I'm trying to get caught up because if I get too far ahead, then when I got to go back, it's hard to remember everything that happened. And but I really want to get caught up because I want to keep playing. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment below. Subscribe if you haven't to the channel, please. You can use links in there to go buy stuff on Amazon. I get credit for that. That helps just give me some gaming money, basically, because I'm not really monetizing the channel. And that's it. So thanks for joining me, and you guys have a great night.